Mentioned early July of this past year, I got a phone call, or actually late July, that Jason Lorifis from Paranormal Investigators of New England had found a Bigfoot track and pulled a cast. So I immediately turned the investigation over to one of the premier paranormal investigators that I know, Mr. Matt Moniz. And as I mentioned in my opening statement, he's a seasoned paranormal investigator and scientist. And he put together an expedition, a team that included Jeff Belanger and Andrew Lake. So right now, ladies and gentlemen, please put it together for Mr. Matt Moniz.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Tim. In late July of this year, Mr. Jason Lorifis, while on vacation, decided he was going to do some mountain biking in a local area of Bridgewater, in the area of Elm Street. He took his bike off and proceeded to ride down one of the roads in Elm Street. And being a paranormal investigator as well as a person into UFOs and cryptozoology, he noticed a set of foot tracks that caught his eye. I believe Jason's main interest is ghosts, but he also has a keen interest in all other paranormal phenomena. He recognized pretty much right off the bat what he was looking at. He made a cast as quickly as he could because the sun was setting, and he took that cast and brought it to it was a tour that John Horrigan was presenting about the Bridgewater Triangle. At that point, we were able to be shown the cast, and once I had a chance to look at it, I was intrigued. And being a scientist, I started work as a scientist 20 years ago in environmental science, and then went into product testing. Now I currently work in the pharmaceutical industry in research and development. So I have a little bit of experience in, especially environmental stuff. I spent approximately 10 years doing that, and I was intrigued by the cast, and I know that there was an extensive history going back hundreds of years in this area. As a matter of fact, the very first Bigfoot reports come from this area. The Wampanoags, have been talking about a large creature in this area for hundreds of years, as long as the settlers have been here. And as soon as we're ready, I'll start with my presentation. The Bridgewater Triangle was defined by our esteemed other guest here, Mr. Coleman, in an area that encompasses from the apex at Abington down to Freetown and over into Rehoboth and Taunton area. Next, please. As can be found in his book, as well as further expanded by Christopher Bolzano's book. He's increased the area slightly, but the whole area is definitely a hotspot for everything: ghosts, UFOs, cryptozoological creatures, and a number of other strange paranormal things. Lots of people with psychic abilities and things of that nature. So I proceeded to investigate after John requested that I go out and check the area. Jason took this photograph right after he made the cast in late July. And as you can see, it's near a set of power lines as well as a cornfield. Now, anybody that's familiar with Bigfoot cases knows that, they love to raid, farms and fields for free food, as do many animals. Next. This was the track, one of the tracks that he found, one of the clearest pictures that he was able to take and make his comparison there with his own foot as well as the tape measure to show scale. Next. After he made the cast, he was able to bring it home and show other comparisons of what a human foot looks like next to it. Then we received these from him showing what it would be like if he tried to fake it. I have to say that, he's pretty imaginative in his, but I don't think he's much of an artist, I still like you, Jason, but Sculpture's not your thing. Okay, next. Then I was asked to make a series of official inquiries, and I did. I asked my local animal control officer, who was also a state animal inspector. He grew up in Bridgewater. He conducted a series of investigations with the people that owned the property. His counterparts in Bridgewater, local animal control, as well as various police officers, and made a series of investigations. He basically found that there were no reports of unusual animals or anything out of the ordinary, so to speak, but that doesn't mean anything. Now, the power lines, if you know anything about the Bridgewater Triangle, is one of the main focal points of all of the paranormal activity. There are a number of power lines that traverse the area, so power lines make easy trackways for animals to travel. If anybody goes hunting or hiking out in the area, you'll see a lot of game trails paralleling power lines. And there are plenty of open wooded areas out in the swamp area in which something like this could quite easily live in. Now, the morphology of the foot or its shape and size will determine, you know, how tall it is, how much it weighs by the amount of depression that it makes and things of that nature. And these prints can be found all around the world. They're, with certain exceptions like Antarctica, but found pretty much on every continent. And some people have a tendency to, you know, take the subject and make a joke out of it and try and make a buck. Other people find, you know, the subject rather cute. But I always wonder, you know, if we're looking for Bigfoot, maybe sometimes he's looking at us, okay? That's it for the slides, but you have Andrew's video. Now, part of my job was to go around and see if there were materials in which that could sustain a creature of this nature. And I found that there were definitely more than enough food sources, water sources especially, since it's a swamp and a number of rivers traverse the area, and any other signs. And I came across one interesting sign that is consistent with this type of activity being associated with Bigfoot, and it's known as tree bending or tree arching, where it takes a tree and bends it around into an arch form or a certain type of bend. Some people may argue that it's animals doing this, you know, but the particular arch that we found and that is associated with the phenomenon is quite unique, because this tree, number one, was bent around and interlaced in between other trees to lock it in position without breaking the tree. And in order to get the tree to bend of that size in a perfect loop, you had to have been at least 8.5 feet tall and reached up 12 or even taller feet to pull it around. Because as you'll see in the video, we tried to replicate it, and Mr. Belanger almost wound up on his rear end as the tree snapped in the attempt to replicate it.
Jason Lorifis found a set of strange tracks leading into a cornfield near the Hockomock Swamp in Bridgewater, Massachusetts. He made this cast out of what he says was the best print out of all those he could see. Paranormal investigator Matt Moniz feels this report is worth examination.
Approximately 30 minutes from the road. The thing is, in the last 2 months, an awful lot of shit got grown too.
And so on September 6, 2009, he and 3 local researchers returned to the area to consider the possibilities of a large primate living in an environment such as the Hockomock.
This is pretty squishy soil where I'm walking.
We did find a number of other tracks. Canine. Raccoon. And as Jeff found a sea serpent.
Throughout the day, the team saw many sources of food. Besides the corn and other local crops, wild grapes were also in abundance. Bushes bearing berries were to be found all over the area.
as well as raspberries and a number of other food sources.
The ingredients are right. Doesn't mean it's necessarily here or it's actually legitimate, but all the
Jeff Belanger led the team down a long, overgrown carriage trail into the swamp to a very old site known as Indian Bridge. This centuries-old structure stands over flowing water in an area known for strange phenomena, including sightings of large ape men. In some ways, this secluded place is much like Man Monkey Bridge in Shropshire, England.
not a lot of people get out here. Now you know why.
It doesn't go right around.
It will. I mean, I know it spits out on a cornfield.
Yeah.
So
Probably the one that we parked the car outside of.
very well could be.
So Jeff, what were the stories they told you about this place?
Okay, so there's a witness who grew up around here and has been known to hang out and come out here at night and all kinds of other times of day. Has seen strange glowing lights. This is part of the Hockomock Swamp and also a Bigfoot hotbed. This is an ancient cart bridge. Goes back centuries and it's still around. The construction, if you get down here though, is pretty outrageous. I mean, look at it, it's all.
We did find footprints next to the
to me,
bridge
this
in
is
the
a more
mud, but we
interesting
could not
view down here,
determine
because you can see.
what they were.
Yeah, it's got grass and dirt there now, but it's still supported by rocks that have just been stacked on each other.
The group then left Indian Bridge by an old carriage trail that leads back to the farmland where the tracks were found and the cast was made. On their way out of the Hockomock, they took note of the many waterways and any animal trails leading into the dark interior of the swamp. When reviewing this footage, a large animal was discovered walking from the left-hand side of the screen to the right. Photo analysis revealed the animal to be Matt Moniz.
Couldn't resist.
Upon reaching the backside of the farm, opposite the cornfield, the team walked along the edge of the swamp until Matt Moniz noticed a break in the foliage, like an animal trail cutting into the swamp. The following footage is what they discovered.
Now, look at that.
That is interesting. Tree.
The other guy with us is the animal control officer, which I spoke of, so.
Okay. There's one behind it too. Yeah.
Yes.
Right behind it's like an artifact.
This was definitely bent by somebody.
Look at that.
Yeah, this is a branch fall.
Matt, I'm going to swing down towards you now.
Bear in mind,
Broken off
there's no-
way the hell up here, like somebody's grabbing up here.
That's hanging upside down by a foot.
When it's behind Matt, going at the end of it, the very tip of the tree is over here. So once
interlaced
again, I'm going
between
to
the
go through that
trees.
arc. Coming, that's the top. Coming
The arch is over 14 feet high.
I've been walking out in the woods for decades. I've never seen a sapling forced into a bend like that.
Okay, here's something interesting to know. It's been there a while. Hasn't been there that long, at least a month or two. Because the bark is not worn. If this has been here for a while, number one, that bark could be worn off from the constant rubbing and vibration. Same thing on the inside of that.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's pretty, what?
Right, but then it's been there for a while, but what I'm saying is, look at the angle of the branches. It reaches upward, angling out.
Yeah.
In other words, this thing goes up straight, like that tree.
If that's up straight, how tall is it? As tall as those?
Yeah,
Oh, this
so that one next to it, yeah.
Well, it can reach 8 feet, so that's 14,
So this tree is about 30 feet tall.
Put your arm up like that again.
26 feet, 27 feet, yeah.
Jason Lorfus said if you were to use police standards for measuring that track, the thing would have to have been almost 9 feet tall.
Nine feet from here.
Five and a half feet, yeah. 14 feet.
Which means it's about double that. 28 feet. It's weird. I mean, it is weird. If it was just hanging over this way, that's one thing, but it got behind that tree and...
Let's see what kind of force, yeah. This tree is approximately comparable here. Okay.
As you can see, it's woven in between. There was also no evidence of human activity in that area. No beer cans, no garbage, no sign of that people have been there. Usually when people are out in the woods, they make a mess. There was no sign of any human.
Well, the trick is...
Plenty of animal
way
track, but
higher
no
and
human.
come right over. Right. If I can do it.
Now, how much will we make it bet? If your grip at about that height, say if you were
2 feet more?
8 feet tall,
Yeah.
and you reached up another, would you
probably-
reach the center point to pull that down?
I almost had it now.
So,
Let me try.
Well, all right.
Actually, don't hold. Is that...
All right, well, I was gonna try to help you pull it.
now the point is, he's trying to show what it's like for a human to do.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I can't do it. But if I got about 2 or 3 feet higher, I probably could have.
All right, so what do you have over here that would help you get 2 or 3 feet higher?
Moniz? Dude, I'm 200 now.
So,
No, do the old fire. Ready?
yeah.
At 1,
2, 3. There you go.
Proof that maybe man is not descended from apes.
Start walking over. No, he's gonna be able to do it because
I can do it.
he's a Sasquatch.
I can do it now.
Yeah.
Oh,
It broke. So it had to be done when it was nice and green.
Well, wet.
A month ago, would it have been wet?
Yes.
That's not that wet after all the rain we've had this year?
No. Not like it was back in July.
snap.
Snap.
Well, that's not good either. Your weight was closer to that fulcrum end.
Yeah, it wasn't a very good pull.
So if it was grabbed higher and pulled down and walked over, that end would still be there. In other words, it would have to have been grabbed higher.
Right. Like a ball on the end of the trunk.
Tree knocking was tried with no response. With the day getting late, the group ventured only a short distance into the Huckamuck. Even the dark swamp's outer edges are thick enough to hide a large animal.
You need a heavier piece of wood. Something that'll really...
Despite the many patches of mud, no uncommon animal tracks could be found. A lot of tracks out here, but nothing looking like the great one.
Thank you, Andy, for doing that. Thank you. Basically, my analysis is that there is definitely sufficient food sources, water sources, and rough evidence of similar activity that's noted with Bigfoot in the area. Did Jason find a legitimate cast? Maybe he did. There's also a distinct possibility he could be the subject of somebody else's subterfuge. You'll have to make that judgment for yourself. Jason has been a very forthright person. His story has been consistent. He also, has not sought publicity about it. Usually when people go out to hoax something, they're looking for attention. Jason so far has not looked to do that. He's been very cooperative in all of the questions that we've been asking of him. If you want, you can go back and take a look at the cast and talk to him yourself. You make your own judgments on Jason's cast and his character by talking to him yourself. I want to take further measurements of the cast. I haven't been able to handle it or really see it since that first day. I want to do some biometric type of measurements. I want to measure certain characteristics and run them through certain mathematical programs that tell whether this is consistent with what we know for other known Bigfoot tracks. But once I get a copy of the cast and continue with my analysis, I'll make it public on John's website, as well as probably my own website on my radio show. And you guys can make your own judgments. I'll provide all of the data, and I encourage you, go take a look at the cast, go talk to Jason, and if you want, we'll come on the magical mystery tour that we're having tomorrow, and we'll take you to the area. We'll show you at least where it happened, and open your minds and make your own judgments from there. I hope you guys all enjoy it, and if you have any questions later on, feel free to approach me or John or Andy or Jason. Thank you.